pronounce his name, but the Black Warrior.
Oh yeah, his name's really hard to pronounce, but yeah.
Or something. And then
Okay, so let's do this again. Sorry, guys. Intro music. Talking Sith. Yes, that's great. Adam, you can't see him, but you can hear him. We're back. Finally, sorry about some just had to fix them but yeah, we are back to talk about the first two episodes of the Book of Boba Fett. Hopefully you guys have been good. Hopefully you've been keeping up with the show. I have some thoughts on the show. We just kind of talked about it a little bit, but let's just jump right into it. So we rated it. We gave it some numbers. I gave it a 5. Chris, you said about a 7, right? And that was overall for 2 episodes. If you're judging 2 episodes, I think we're gonna try to go separately and judge them on their own merits, which is fine. Yeah. So now that we are back on Tatooine, the rough streets of Tatooine, where we've arrived again. We're hanging out with Boba Fett and Fennec Shand, and they are kind of running into, I don't know what you would call it, some problems. I don't know on Tatooine now that they've taken over for Bib Fortuna. That's kind of the premise of the first 2 episodes. So that being said, from here on out, if you haven't seen them yet, this is where the spoilers will start, probably, for you. So just letting you know, spoilers. So let's start with episode 1. Let's start with episode 1. Episode 1. Okay, so this is my thing with episode 1. As we're leaving and getting out of The Mandalorian, like the end of season 2, his whole motivation, like Boba Fett's motivation, is getting his armor back, right? And so his whole reasoning for helping out the Mandalorian and helping out that whole group is because he wants his armor back. That's his whole thing. The whole thing him and Fennec Shand only really become buddies because like he saved her life and he needed help to get his armor back. And now he has his armor back. And so now I'm just kind of lost onto, and maybe as we go through the episode and talk about it, you guys can enlighten me. Maybe I'm just not seeing the light, but I'm just not really convinced as to why he's on Tatooine. Like, why did he go back? Like, I understand he hadn't beef with Jabba, and even then, I don't really even understand why he would have beef with Jabba, because Jabba just hired him to do a job. Like, his job was to be a bounty hunter. It's not like he had some problems with Jabba, or maybe I'm not remembering correctly. And like when he got shot, when he was like, you would think if he was going after anyone, it would be like Luke or Han Solo, or like somebody who might still be alive that's attached to them, versus going back after Jabba, who had nothing really to do with his downfall or him like almost dying. You know what I mean? Like he was just getting paid to do a job. Why was he mad at Jabba? I'm trying to figure that line out.
Yeah, I don't really know.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't get it. I don't really understand why we're back on Tatooine.
Yeah.
I don't know, Adam, if you heard any of that, sorry.
I mean, I don't know, maybe he heard that it was Bib Fortuna somehow. He got wind of that and was just like, oh, this is going to be easy. I don't know,
Yeah.
What is his motivation?
It's weird because I feel like the show Boba Fett and what we previously thought of as Boba Fett are pretty different from each other. And I consistently have to distance myself from what I knew Boba Fett to be based on the extended book, like the lore, like the Legacy of the Force series. Boba Fett was still a hard ass, and he was trying to reunite, the Mandalorian clans and everything. And TV show, even the Mandalorian Boba Fett in the Mandalorian, he's not really what we've always understood Boba Fett to be. So that's my main gripe, is that not even just his motivation, but like, I don't know, he's a softie.
That
Like,
was
he
my
offers to
very
save the
first
Rodian.
thing that I
Boba
wrote
Fett
down.
does not care. Well, Boba Fett will leave that Rodian to die, or he'll use his corpse as a distraction, or he'll plant grenades he'll do anything. And instead he's just walking around without his helmet on, sharing
And
water
giving,
with
like,
Tusken Raider babies. It just doesn't seem
Yeah.
and he keeps giving that awkward
very,
smile thing that
cold-blooded.
he's like,
Yeah,
because he has no
uh,
lips because
it's a
they've been
weird-
freaking like burnt off. So he keeps giving.
Yeah. And they are I guess, likable. And that's what was cool about Mandalorian, is it's a new character, so he's kind of cold-blooded too, but he's also likable. But everything that you're seeing is an establishment of a new character. Whereas Boba Fett, it's kind of changing everything we know about him, which is kind of, I don't know. I would have rather either they stick to characters that are new and just keep expanding the universe, like Mandalorian or something like that, or even characters that aren't really that established in the movies, like Ahsoka or something like that. But it makes me feel a little bit nervous for Obi-Wan, if I'm being totally honest, because the writing seems like they just didn't really take as much into account from what Boba Fett already was as I would have liked. And if they do anything similar to that with Vader or Obi-Wan or, anything like that, it's going to be actively bad. Like, Boba Fett can be bad and it's almost a wash. Like, the show can be bad and it's whatever, because it's Boba Fett and people love him, but it's not Obi-Wan. If they mess up Obi-Wan, there's a big problem. And it's to me, it's the writing more than anything else. I agree. I don't really understand his motivation either, other than like Bib Fortuna is a weak link, and to take him out means obviously there's a power vacuum, but also like Boba Fett's code in terms of how we understood Boba Fett before this would have told him the weak don't deserve to lead. So just on principle, he might have taken the leadership position from someone who didn't deserve it. But even that's a stretch, because this Boba Fett is not that Boba Fett.
Yeah.
The other thing is that the time frames being so far apart, like climbing out of the pit of Carcoon and the taking of the seat from Bib Fortuna, there's like there's a couple years between those things. So to keep going back and forth is tough, because his motivation could differ. Like Bib Fortuna might do something in the past to screw him, which might be why he comes back to the throne, or or something. But I am a little bit disappointed, because even if it wasn't about Boba Fett, I still don't think it's that good a show. But because it's about Boba Fett, it's even more disappointing. And I also I get that.
I'm so sick of it. I'm done. I'm done. I don't know what Dave Filoni's thing is with Tusken Raiders, but I'm over it, dude. Like,
Anakin's take on Texas.
Why do you need to humanize these things to me? Like, you've gone through 2 story arcs now where you've attempted to humanize Tusken Raiders, and I still don't care.
2 different shows. Yeah, it's really weird. And I mean, like I said, if you took one episode, you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they like drink out of shells. Cool. I don't care. Like, stop making them seem like they're people.
And like I said, they might be trying to humanize both Tuskens and Boba Fett in a way that I really don't
it doesn't connect. It doesn't connect. I don't understand the connection between what's going on right now with the mob bosses, and this, and then you keep going to these dream sequences, and I'm like, is that the best way to tell that story, is with a dream sequence? Like, to me, it'd be better if you were sitting down around a fire or something and was like, oh, when it all started, it was, this is how it turned out.
Also, how do
that's a
is
terrible.
there anybody else who's had to sleep in Bacta to survive? Because I can't. You think he'd be all right by this point? Maybe because he's a clone and he's aging. That actually makes sense. But I don't know. He's not a very strong guy. Like,
He got
not a
shot
very strong
once.
character.
One time with his armor.
With the Gamorrean.
It was on.
Like just die, dude. He's like, get me to the back to now.
This is just a little thing. The Gamorreans could have been clothed in between getting them and then going to all these different places. Like, get them, they're clothes.
No,
get
dude,
them
tits
clothes.
out.
That was a little much.
And then what's his relationship with Fennec Shan, where they went from like this bodyguard relationship to like, yeah, I'm having the dreams again. Like, now he's like telling her his like most personal feelings and thoughts and stuff, and I'm like, how'd you guys get that close so quickly? Like, and
it's just not Boba Fett, man. Like I said, if it was like season 3 Mandalorian, it was another Mandalorian, then it would be palatable. But it can't be Boba Fett. That's my.
And I also think the issue is that what made Boba Fett so cool was that he never talked. Like, that was half the thing.
What I was gonna say. His movements are like super, defined and thought out and intentional. Like, every time he moves just a finger, there's like a thought process behind it. Whereas the body language isn't very Boba Fett. I don't know. It's just not the Boba Fett of Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi.
Well,
there's no sinisterism.
There's really only like a handful of episodes, if I'm not mistaken. Is it possible that we're leading up to that?
I hope
so,
I feel like I just don't know. Even if that's the case, I don't know why start it this way from a Boba Fett perspective. Like, you could still do the story similarly and not have Boba Fett be
no, it's true.
Like, you can still do everything you're doing, establishing the Tusken culture and lore.
I don't need it. I don't know. I don't need it.
Getting out of the Sarlacc pit and Fennec and all that stuff. You could show all that and still have Boba Fett not say as much, not take his helmet off.
Mandalorian didn't talk for like the first 5 episodes, and by episode 1.5, I was in love with him.
Right. I mean, you have Tamira Morrison, so I guess maybe you have to show his face and hear.
You don't, though. You don't, because one of the notes I wrote down was, can Tamira Morrison hold an entire show on his own? I don't think so. I mean, what do you guys think? I think his acting up to this point, I don't know if he can hold an entire show by himself.
Yeah, but if he had a helmet on, I wouldn't care about his acting. I really don't care about, like, Star Wars has had cheesy actors before. I don't really care about that so much as the writing. If the writing was better and he was still not like the greatest actor of all time, I would like the show.
It's not. I guess you're right. I guess it's not even his acting full on. I guess for me, it's more of like the moments that are supposed to be coming across aren't landing for me. Like when.
Oh yeah, he's like, I saved the Tusken baby. And that's one thing I'll give Attack of the Clones. Anakin murks.
Let it die, dude.
And lets his rage take over and all that. But Boba Fett is not a nice dude, and it doesn't have to be for the show to be good.
No, I agree, and I don't understand why they're leaning into that. Like, at one point in time, he says, I intend to rule with respect. You intend to rule a crime syndicate with respect? I don't understand how those two things link up.
Yeah, I mean, when you were describing it like a mob boss, it's interesting because, obviously the easiest parallel is going to be The Sopranos, and that's pretty unrealistic for its own reasons. Like, you can't be in the mob and go see someone get killed. And he's like a nice dude, and he doesn't really have to be too, and that's one of the criticisms. But he's also straight up cold-blooded.
I feel like Boba Fett is.
Boba Fett really
we haven't seen that.
He had the chance to leave the Rodian in the dust and decided, he's like, "You want me to tell you?" Boba Fett would strangle you and leave you so you didn't squeal. Like, it doesn't. It just.
I feel like that bounty hunter mentality of like I will survive at any cost. I don't care
Right.
if you do. Like my
And they showed it for a second in the Sarlacc, which was my favorite part of the show so far. When he like got out of the Sarlacc, he was kind of like, "Let me take the the air tube out of the stormtrooper helmet and use that to survive." Like it was about 10 seconds of the show, and the rest of it's been
I mean, speaking of that, like Chris, what was your favorite moment up to this point?
Because it's Boba
in
Fett,
the
it's
show?
more frustrating. But if it was another character doing speeder bikes with Tuskens, I don't need it, but it's fine. But because it's Boba Fett, it's like a waste of the potential of what it could be.
Oh man, master up some speeder bikes.
Not that good. Like it's even if it was another character, it'd still be like a 6 or 7 out of 10. It's just because it's Boba Fett, it's so much more of a kick in the nuts.
Also, these 2 episodes have been relatively slow, to be honest. Like,
yeah, but I mean, Mandalorian had some slow ones too.
Yeah, I feel very true. And I think the good thing about Mandalorian was everything was new. So like when it
you're just eating it up.
Yeah. So even on the slower episodes, and the thing about the Mandalorian was there was this understanding that there was a story connection in between these big storylines of the end of one saga and the beginning of another. Like this is when these events are happening. So we're like, oh well, this is information that can connect these 2 instances, but we don't even know what the point of the Book of Boba Fett is, or
like that part was neat. Like, Fixer and Cammy showing up was kind of a little cool thing. It's not enough. Like, if it was a comic book, it'd be fun. I'd be like, oh, that was an okay comic. It's just a waste of the potential of the show. And more than anything, like I said at the beginning, it makes me scared for Obi-Wan. That's my biggest takeaway. Is Obi-Wan's the one I'm most excited for. You can't mess it up, and that's the only thing that's making me nervous.
The biggest deal, like that first episode, like, I mean, we didn't really even have to expect that much more. You know what I mean? Yeah. It was really a letdown, and we're not going to look at the rest of it the same, I don't think. Just because of that, the first one, it's like, come on, it should have been explosive. There should have been actual things happening.
Right.
I think, I agree with you.
Oh, yeah, that's what we pictured him to do when he left the Sarlacc pit, pretty much. Like, if he did survive, then that's how he would have had to get out, is crawl his way out. Okay, we get that. The rest of it is like, kind of like, nothing else really actually happened. Like, when he was the boss, like, nothing really. It's like, oh, the mayor has beef with you.
Yeah, and then he meets the mayor, and he's like, I don't really have any beef with you. It's like, okay.
Right.
Nothing is happening. But I don't know.
It's not dark enough to be interesting in that world. Like, if it is going to be a crime story, it's got to be a crime story, not just like an episodic thing. And I mean, the bummer is that, and this is where like the MCU starts to lose me and other Star Wars stuff starts to lose me, is they can just lean on the awesomeness that they have in their back pocket. Whenever they need to pull it out, they can. Like, if the Mandalorian's bad, no worries, we'll just show Luke. Or if Boba Fett's bad, no worries, in the last episode you're definitely going to see Slave One mess stuff up, and it's going to be awesome, and you're going to forget how bad the show is. And it's kind of a bummer because Marvel's been doing it, DC's been doing it, and I don't really want that for Star Wars, but it just seems like there's so much cool stuff to lean on that when they finally do, it's going to be sort of a MacGuffin for the rest of the show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, because Chris was saying we might get to a point where it's like, oh man, because they didn't come out swinging, now it's like, are we going to be into it? And I think it's like they have, with, like you said, with like the Slave One, you have these things in your pocket where you can bring them out and it's going to get me stoked, but like you got to do it the right way, and it's got to make sense to the story, and if you're just throwing it into a show that's kind of lame in the first place, I'm gonna be kind of annoyed that you didn't save it for, something else. So I don't know. I'm in a weird spot with the Book of Boba Fett because I want it to be good. I mean, it's Star Wars, but everything I wrote down as I was watching it was like, don't see a connection between his dreams and the actual story. Whenever anything interesting seems to start happening, they jump to this dream sequence. So like we only get like these little tidbits of like cool stuff that's like, all right, cool, the story's about to get rolling, we're gonna get some action, and then it's like, nah, get back in the back to tank, and like we're gonna get some dumb, like I don't know.
I need to take
Yeah.
a nap.
I do think it's gonna be like
I'm tired.
At some point, everything they're flashing back to will be significant to now. Like when the Hutts call for an all-out war against him, he'll be like, "Let me call my friends."
Oh God, they did just set that up, didn't they? That's gonna be shitty.
There's gonna be something like that.
I don't even want to see that.
Some kind of part where they cross over, or he's like I said in the past, Bib Fortuna will play a role which makes him want to murk him, which would be fine. But other than that, I don't really have a problem with there being two different timelines going on together. Even if they don't seem to mean a lot to each other right now, I have a problem because both timelines are not
right. Neither of them are just very interesting. That's all. It's two timelines that just aren't very good. Yeah. So I mean, and then like I said, I had a couple things written down that maybe we can try to figure this out. I guess, like I said, one of my first things was, why is he so nice now? Which is kind of like Adam leaned towards that too. Like, why is it just like they're trying to introduce a new side of Boba Fett, or just kind of almost reimagine or reinvent the character?
No, they're trying to give you a show that will be, popular.
It seems like it's more popular to go the cowboy route.
They're Disney-fying Star Wars. This gives them ammo. Like the people who are like that are super annoying, and they're right now, and that's kind of a bummer. And if anything, he would be way meaner. He came out of the Sarlacc covered in stomach acid,
and I think also the issue is like his backstory has been so like I always hate to go down this road, but so with the animated series and stuff, they do tackle a bit of like Boba Fett's adolescent years, like his like mid like teenage years,
right.
Like about between the ages of like 13 and maybe 16. And he's with this group of other bounty hunters, and at this point, Boba Fett's dad has already been, or donor, whatever you want to call it, Jango Fett. He's already been decapitated by the Jedi, so his hatred towards the Jedi is like what gets focused on in his story arc within the animated series. And when we leave Boba Fett within that, it's not like anything's changed. He's still peed off at the Jedi for killing his dad. He still feels super inadequate because he's not quite a clone soldier, because he doesn't age the same as them. So he's trying to prove himself as a warrior, but he's also now trying to prove himself amongst these bounty hunters that his dad became incredibly established with, and was at one point in time the pinnacle, the best bounty hunter in the galaxy, to the point where they cloned an entire race after him. So he's trying to live up to these standards, and that's kind of the last time we get to know anything about him. And then, like Adam said, if there's any in between and we know anything about what goes on with him, the only information we do have are the comic books and like the Empire Strike Backs and stuff like that. And in that, he's still a badass. So we never see the point where he's like, all right, now I'm going to be nice because my life's turned around. Like, I haven't seen that. Like, and being in a Sarlacc pit for a little while, again, it seems like you'd come out of there like, dude, F, the rebels. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, there's no
yeah.
yeah, I just
So what's up with Finnick Shand
I don't
and
know.
him? Do you
It's
think
not
that there's been like it's just like now they're just bros at this point because they've had this pact, or is there like she's
I mean, there could be like a life debt there or something, which that's fine. They're not particularly kind to each other. She's really more of an advisor, but
what do you think about their
weird.
dynamics so far between the two of them? Like, is it like it doesn't? I'm only asking because I'm like I watch them interact and it just doesn't seem like it's playing to me. Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's playing to me like the way that they want it to play, right? Like I feel like they're trying to get it to play like they have this like back and forth kind of like funny banter, and it's just like it's not. I don't know. That's why I'm asking you guys what you think about
I don't know.
like their
I
dynamic.
feel like if it was gonna be more realistic, then she would be being groomed to replace him if something happened to him.
Mm.
But it's really more of an advisory role, it seems like, and that's fine. I don't really care about her that much.
I just asked because they'd spent a lot of time setting her up. I mean, they even have her as a character in the newer season of the Clone Wars or whatever it is, the animated series Rebels, I think so. I don't know. I was just curious as to what you guys thought of her because I'm like at this point, I don't know. I feel like we haven't been introduced to many major characters at this point. We just know Boba Fett and we know Fennec Shan and then the mayor, but I don't know. I feel like again, it's hard not to compare this show to The Mandalorian, where I feel like by this time we had met Grief Karga, we'd met the main the armory chick. You know what I mean? Like there were so many cool characters by this point in The Mandalorian where even if we didn't know exactly where it was going, we're like, oh man, these characters are going to be awesome. Where in Boba Fett, it's just like, I don't know. The story's been slow. I haven't really felt connected to what story that there has been. I don't. What do you guys think about this idea of the Hutts, like him and the Hutts kind of dueling it out? Like, where do you think that's going?
I legitimately, I think that the Tusken Raiders are going to be like, here we are to save you. Here's your stick you made all those years ago. Make sure you whack the Boba.
He jumps on top of it. Just hitting him with a stick.
It's gonna be the little kid Tusken Raider all grown up.
Oh God! How would you know?
Just gonna hand him the water. Just gonna be like, here you go. Here's my water.
It's gonna be like the Falcon at the end of Endgame on your left, but instead you can hear.
Oh my God!
A water cup flying through the air and hit a Hut in the face.
Oh my God! So here was my whole issue with that too is why didn't he just leave? Like, why did he hang out with these guys? Like, when everything started to go like tits up, and then they started to get attacked, why was he like, I feel compelled to stay and help? Like,
yeah, the Boba Fett might have stayed if there was a way he could.
Yeah.
Like, he might have saved the kid if it was like, now they owe me, or now I can manipulate them in some way. But that's not what he's doing. He's just
hanging out,
which is a bummer.
It just seemed like it was just like, oh.
When he brought up the chains.
Yeah.
When he brought up the chains.
Yeah.
Immediately it was like, yes. He's gonna strangle that motherfucker and go knock everybody out and just destroy everything, and he did not do that at all. He did the exact opposite.
I'll be back when the sun comes up in the morning.
Opposite.
I go stop here.
And then it was the weirdest. And then like you had the scene in like the cantina where he's like, "No," he guy stands up for himself or whatever. Like that's enough.
Yeah, it's fixed her, dude.
It was the worst. I feel like we could have written that episode, and I feel like we would have written it as like, all right, guys, what if we were trying to write like a really funny episode of like Boba Fett? Like if it was just dumb, like what would be the dumbest stuff we could Like, and it's just, I don't know. It just fell flat for me. Every single time I was like, all right, here's something cool that's about to happen. It just fell flat. It just, whether it be a cool, like, introduction. Like, so as they're going to meet the mayor, I kept thinking, like, all right, this is the time you bring a character back. Like, this is when you bring back a character who, like, we didn't even think about to be mayor. You know what I mean? Like, someone.
I don't know who. Tatooine doesn't really have that many characters that aren't dead.
Is Bosk dead? I can't remember.
He's not really a Tatooine character.
Yeah, but it would be awesome to bring him back.
He dropped him like a little Easter eggy thing.
But like somebody who's like tied to that world, right? Like somebody who's tied to the crime world, or tied to like, you know, the underworld. Some like even if it was something cool like a Saz Ventress, you know, from the cartoons or something like that. Like I don't know if she's dead though. Actually, she might be dead. I don't know. You're right. Maybe everybody's dead. I don't know. I'm just like I felt like you could have put a cool character in there, or like even made the mayor someone interesting. You know, like somebody with a mask on. Who was Salacious Crumb. That would have been a good one. There could have been somebody cool, even if it was like the guy. I don't care. Never mind. Either way, I just feel like there was a lot of wasted moments.
Been the Rancor.
Yeah, and then when they did the Rancor thing, I was like,
that was I didn't mind that. That was kind of cool.
I was like, isn't the Rancor dead? As that was about to happen, I was like, I'm pretty sure the Rancor got killed. And then yeah, and then I was like, oh, that's funny. It's not dead. But I don't know. Like I said, for me, there's a couple things that they need to, like, well, I guess at this point they already shot the show. So, I mean, even if they listen to this, which I'm sure they will, there's nothing you can do about it now. You know, we're going to have to talk about next season at this point. But for me, at this point, what you have to do to get the show to go back up is you just need action. Like, it's Boba Fett. Just start blowing shit up, right? Like, that's it. Like, that's the answer. Like, let him start beating people up and blowing stuff up, and you'll get me back in. You know what I mean? Do that for, like, 2 episodes straight, and you got me. And then, like, give me some dialogue or about something. I don't know. But I don't know. What do you guys think? How will the show turn around for you? Or are you fine with the way it's going, and you're just like, oh, take me on the ride or where you're going, but if you could turn the show in a different trajectory, which way would you turn it? Because we're still early. You know, it's still early on in the show. So, like, from here, where would you go, right? So if you ended off...
over.
Yeah.
I would just have, like... 45 minutes of the movie.
You know, something like sort of annoying happens to him. You know,
I think he needs to do something dark.
He loses all patience. It's all gone. And it doesn't come back for 4 more episodes.
I wanted him to kill that advisor dude.
He goes with the cup of water.
Yeah. I wanted him to kill the advisor dude. The guy who was like...
Major Domo.
Like, you need to pay us. I was like, bro.
He's going to. I'll bet you $1,000
yeah.
he kills that guy. Because they set it up. The guy's such a
he's so unlikable. He's so unlikable.
He's got to. Yeah, he's got to be killed by Fennec or Boba Fett.
Yeah. I was hoping that would be an early indication that he's still Boba Fett. Like, that's what I was waiting for. Like, I thought that was the setup for, okay, this guy still doesn't play any games. Like, he's still a bounty hunter at heart, and you're a threat to him. So, in order to, like, establish his dominance, he's not going to tolerate you coming here and asking him for money. So I was thinking that's the boom, take this dude out, and then I was about to be right back on board, like, all right, here we go, Boba Fett. But yeah, like Adam said from the top, I just think it's not the same Boba Fett that we know. Like, they've rewritten the character, or like rethought who the character is at his core, or we just haven't seen everything he's gone through at this point. Because again, everything I've seen or read or watched or anything leading up to this tells me Boba Fett isn't gonna like have like open discussions with the mayor. He's gonna figure out a way to blow up the mayor's palace and take whatever's inside. Like, I don't really understand this like nice guy approach, which I guess is my biggest complaint up to this point. You know.
I was gonna say that would be the way to redeem it, but that's only one of the storylines. The other storyline is still him being the nice stepdad to the baby Tusken Raider. So I mean, there's really no way to redeem it from that perspective for both storylines. I think without making him totally unlikable or 180ing the Boba Fett that they've established for this particular show. It's just a bummer because now it's canon. Like all the stuff that was canon before for Boba Fett was way cooler.
It was so much cooler.
I don't know. It's cool to see Tamira Morrison. It's cool to see Ming-Na Wen. It's cool to see.
I feel like the legend of it all is being like thrown out the window, though. Like, it was like Boba Fett was one of the coolest characters for so long because of like the mystique, and then once they had gone back and Tamir Morrison redid the voice, and now it was like the continuity was there, and I don't know, it was one of those coolest Star Wars things where it was like, oh, this character has always been so mysterious, and still to this day, like, he still has that aura about him, and it's been completely just like, and it wasn't ruined with The Mandalorian. I feel like The Mandalorian, the way it ended, it didn't ruin it at all. It was kind of like, oh, we finally get to see this dude in action. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, even then, though, I was kind of like, man, he doesn't have his helmet on. He's out here with his stick.
Yeah.
He's the coolest part of Mandalorian Boba Fett was Slave One. That was easily the coolest part.
What happened to Slave One? He probably still has it. We just haven't seen him fly it. Which you would think that would be the first
he has to get it
scene.
Because Mandalorian happens after the Tusken Raider stuff, but before the Bib Fortuna stuff. So he gets it at some point. And that's what I'm saying. They have that to fall back on. They're going to have an awesome scene where he gets his armor back. They're going to have an awesome scene where he gets Slave One. Like, there's going to be cool stuff to be shown. It's just like that. You shouldn't just build your movie around that one scene. That's my problem with, like I said, Marvel and now Star Wars, apparently, which is just a bummer. They just can't do that for Obi-Wan. They can't be like, here's Obi-Wan in the desert making friends with Jawas, because at the end we know we're going to see him fight Vader. We know it's coming. So whatever happens before then doesn't really matter, because we have this in our bag of tricks at the end of all
Obi-Wan has to be completely different from The Mandalorian, and it needs to be complete. It has to be its own thing, and it really needs to lean on the feeling, and I'm trying to think. It really needs to remind me of the prequels. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, for sure. It's got to be. Yeah, I do know what you mean. It's just. That's why I'm scared though, because it could be a crap show that leans on the Darth Vader fight.
No, I feel like they have to remember who this is. They got to remember who it's for. Like, Obi-Wan, I understand. Like, obviously was a massive character from the originals, but he was only in one movie, right? Like, us prequel babies, we had him for 3 movies, and we fell in love with him. And not only that, the Obi-Wan we're getting is our Obi-Wan. It's not some guy coming in to act it. It's not some. It's Ewan McGregor. It's our Obi-Wan Kenobi. So, this is for us. This is directly for those kids who grew up on the prequels, like we did. So, for me, it's like you have to lean into that prequel era vibe. Like, it can't be like this. This new thing where we're trying to like rewrite characters or reimagine characters. Like, I want to see Obi-Wan being Obi-Wan Kenobi. Like, and if he is going through some sort of like character story arc, I want him to handle it the way Obi-Wan Kenobi would handle it. Not some, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? But
I know that.
But I can't wait, because they have to come on. They have to start it with that first episode of the season. Like, first thing he says, Like he has to pull back the hood, and it has to be. Come on, that's you can't start it any other way. Just for us Star Wars boys out there, you got to do it, or at least sometime in the show, he has to drop his famous lines. He has to, but
yeah, but that's what I mean. Like the I agree that they have to have that fan service in order for it to do what it needs to do, but at the same time, that can't be. It would be cool if it pushed something new and still stayed true.
That's
to
what I'm
Obi-Wan.
asking for.
Like that's
yeah.
what that's my bummer for the Boba Fett show is like they know who it's for, they know what they need to give you, and their argument is that they're going to give that to you. They're going to give you Slave One, they're going to give you the flamethrower, they're going to give you the jetpack, they're going to give you all the stuff that they have to give you in order for it to be a Boba Fett show. But in the meantime, they're going to like undo everything that he is, and that's what, like I said, Civil War is my favorite example because everyone seems to love it, but the movie's bad, and it's bad all the way up to the awesome fight. But the fight's so cool that everyone forgets that the movie's trash. And the I just don't need that for. If you're gonna do it to Boba Fett, that's fine. But I need people to be mad enough and vocal enough that they don't do it to Obi-Wan. Because if they do it to Obi-Wan, I'm out. It's too big a bummer.
So my question is this then, I guess. What are your expectations, Chris, for the rest of the season? Like where do you how much growth do you think we're gonna see character wise, and then like where do you think we're going with this?
Oh, honestly, I don't think it's going to be like surprising at all. I think it's just definitely going to take 6 episodes, and we're at the very end. We're going to get the full-on Boba Fett kind of that we always wanted and always knew that we should have got in the first episode. I feel like we should have got it. Yeah. Just to show, like, hey, this is the guy that we're talking about,
right?
Instead of like, hey, this is how the guy that we're talking about was in the middle of dying at one point. Let's start there. And
you know the part of the story you know already. Let's start there.
It's like, I don't know. It just seems like a little bit of pandering. We're just gonna get a lot of a lot of filler-ish feeling stuff, and like not many major events happening. And when they do happen, it won't be like.
Yeah, I'm wondering what major events are going to happen. Like, what? I don't know. Like, how is this going to tie into the overall Star Wars world? Like, what's going on here? I don't know. Because, like, and maybe I'm expecting too much because of The Mandalorian. Maybe because The Mandalorian had such large implications for the actual storyline of the Skywalker saga. Then... and it ties into so many different parts of Star Wars. I was thinking like, oh, this show will kind of have that same vibe. But I know I feel like it's honestly as I watched it, I felt like this feels like it's for kids. Like it feels like it was made for kids.
I will say it makes the Mandalorian seem better than
I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
It's good, but it's disappointing at times in its own way, and that's with a character that we don't know anything about. And this is just bad enough that now the Mandalorian looks like the best.
I was actually going to ask you guys, what was the best? Well, okay, so out of everything that's happened, Star Wars wise since The Force Awakens come out, what's been the best thing? You can even if it's just an episode, or if it's in like a comic book, something that like what has been the best Star Wars story so far that I don't know. For me, I guess to give you an example, like so for me, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to, but the lightsaber battle between the animated lightsaber battle between Darth Maul and Darth Sidious or Palpatine. It's probably one of not only the coolest things that I've ever seen that's been animated, just being able to animate that choreography, like just the voice acting in itself, the animating, it's so good. It's my favorite, and I know it's not the best thing, but it's just my favorite thing that's happened up to this point, out of everything we've gotten. And then I'll have to say the episode of the Mandalorian, obviously, where Luke comes back, to me is like one of the best things we've gotten in Star Wars in a while. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
That's kind of tough, honestly.
I mean, even if you're just going off the movies themselves, because I think what I'm trying to gauge is the Mandalorian was really good, and I'm trying to figure out if it's like the best Star Wars thing that's come out in a while, or if it's just recency bias, where it's like it's just it's so new. Compared to the other stuff that's coming out against it, it just feels really good. Because honestly, if I go back to like how I was feeling at the time, The Force Awakens was like, I don't know, man. It was awesome. Like, it felt like everybody who hadn't talked about Star Wars for years and years all of a sudden was back in the Star Wars. There was Star Wars everywhere. It was like an event. It was like a social event once when The Force Awakens came out. So I loved every bit of that. And then I know everybody has criticisms about that movie, but I legitimately love it because it set up so many cool avenues for Star Wars to go in, at that time. So, I'm just wondering, since Force Awakens, is the Mandalorian kind of like outshine that, or does that still hold up? Because to me, that's like the coolest thing that's happened in Star Wars in a while. Just the whole experience, the overall.
I mean, that's still kind of tough. I mean, since The Force Awakens, personally, I would just probably say, yeah, I don't know. Just Mandalorian season one might take the cake, and it might even just be the final episode of season one is so incredible. Taking into account if you know all the characters, so I mean, I'd say all of season one is like unreal. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
You fall in love with some of these characters,
and not and awesome. I will say it also set up like a new like Baby Baby Yoda or Grogu or whatever. He's everywhere. He's literally freaking everywhere. Like, you can't go to a gas station without seeing,
That was a win.
So
yeah, definitely.
It like introduced a lot of people to a new character that's super accessible. So like people are coming in the stores for this little green dude, and that's awesome. Because it brings more viewers, which is more money, which means cooler stories for us, and I'm always happy about that. So, but yeah,
I will say the Grogu stuff is interesting because it's kind of the perfect storm. Like Chris said, it's a win, not just because it's going to sell dolls, but also because the neck-beard 400-pound Star Wars nerds are super bought into what it could mean. Like the implications of Grogu existing from a storyline perspective keep the heavy nerds in, and then the cuteness keeps the kids in, the everyone else, the casual fans in. So I think that Grogu is kind of that perfect combination of those two types.
Yeah,
of
they
things.
nailed it. They nailed it.
Yeah, I mean, I will agree that Mandalorian season one is. I mean, my favorites are going to be the three movies, but just because you go to the movie theater, you see a Star Wars movie fresh when you thought it was over, and for that reason, it would be Force Awakens for me. Han coming back and Leia.
Yeah.
Like,
See, oh my God, we get so jaded over time because being in the theater when Han came back, like, ugh.
Yeah, when Han shows up, Falcon shows up.
No, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, dude.
In the floor
that
wars,
that
was awesome.
that hit hard, man. That felt real good. That's true.
Like, the first maybe 5 or 6 times I saw The Force Awakens, when they're in the Starkiller base and she calls the lightsaber to her, like I got teary-eyed with music and and like the first couple times I saw it, I was like, man, Luke's gonna catch Kylo Ren, and that part is just, I gotta say, Force Awakens. It's legitimately, I still really like
Oh my god, yeah,
it.
you're giving me goosebumps just thinking about it again now. Because as I'm replaying all these, like, but when from the perspective of the first time we saw it, the first time
Yeah,
I got to see it, you're right. It's like it was
yeah.
goosebumps throughout the whole movie.
Han, like
Throughout the whole movie.
Ray's pretty cool. Finn's pretty cool. The
Yeah.
Falcon, like it's Poe's awesome. BB-8's an awesome introduction.
Oh yeah, the
It's
dynamic
just
between Poe and Finn when we first get that, it was really
it's
cool.
legitimately cool. And most of the hate for it is just that it's, you know, allegedly a New Hope clone. But if that's the worst thing you can say about it, then
And
I'll take it all
I could
day.
never understand that criticism. I never quite got it. Because to me,
Well,
it's
that's the
similar.
paradox. Is if it's not fan servicey
Yeah.
enough, you're going to complain
Yeah.
about it, and if it's too fan servicey, you're going to complain about it, and there's no, it's a lose lose. But I really like The Force Awakens. That would still be my number one answer. And then, like, I saw it in the theater during the marathon. Will and I went and saw.
Right. So by the time the build up
all
got there, you were like,
yeah,
so
we were
stoked.
there for like 32 hours. So it was a whole other, sort of context to how we felt at the time about it. But even now, like, I could throw the Blu-ray on, and it's probably my favorite Star Wars thing, since it happened. I mean, I don't even think that's that big a stretch. The Mandalorian's good, but Force Awakens was really cool.
Yeah, I was trying, as you were saying that, I was thinking to myself, like, when I watched The Mandalorian, there were some of those moments that were like those, like, oh man, this is really cool. Like, this brings me back to being a kid, while at the same time, like, getting me stoked about, like, what's happening with Star Wars now. But you're right, like, The Force Awakens, man, there were some moments in there where I had to, like, legit, I was wiping away tears at the theater, like, this is so good. Like, this is just hitting every, like, even this, like, I remember literally, like, pumping my fist at the theater during the first scene where they're running towards the Millennium Falcon, and she's like, the garbage will do, and you're like, dude, like, it's the Falcon, like, it's the coolest ship ever. And then that first, CGI where they're cutting through, like, the sands and all, oh my god, it was so cool. To see the Falcon move like that. It was like, this is what I've been waiting for, like, my entire, and then, like, even thinking about the trailers, when we first started this show, and we literally spent like 4 episodes just salivating over, like, the trailer, and, like, we dissected that thing so much, and we dissected The Force Awakens, like, over and over. I mean, we spent so many episodes just breaking down what, scene after scene, what we thought. I mean, yeah, now remembering it, I'm like, it's so easy to forget how cool that movie really felt when it first came out. It was like, it was awesome. When it comes to, just like I said, the cultural aspect of it, the social aspect of it, it basically launched the show. Like, half the reason we even started doing this was because it was leading up to The Force Awakens, and I was like, oh god, what's going to be happening? We had to talk about it, so we almost connect The Force Awakens, like, for this show. So, that's really awesome. But yeah, guys, I know Chris has got to get going soon, so I'll make sure we wrap it up. But I'm glad that we could get back to it. I really want to start getting back to it and releasing episodes. If not weekly, then every other week. We'll see what we can do. Chris is a new dad, so congrats again, man. I'm really happy for you. Adam has got his crazy little one. I got 2 at home, and we're just busy dads doing dad stuff. So we'll try to make time for this and get it done when we can. But I don't know. So far, guys, there's other stuff I want to talk about with Star Wars that's not necessarily been going on, but there's stuff coming up. Like I said, like we were talking about, Obi-Wan shows coming up. I'd like to go back and just argue over some dumb Star Wars theories that are fun to argue about. So there's other stuff to talk about besides the Book of Boba Fett, but obviously we got to cover that as it's coming out. because we love Star Wars. It's the best thing ever, and that's the craziest thing is that like even if it's not the best, right? Like me and Adam were talking a bit before we had a chance to do the podcast, and we both said like I don't care. I'll just watch it. Like it doesn't matter. I just want to. If it's Star Wars, I'll watch it. Good, bad, indifferent. I'll always give it my attention because I mean it's shaped so much of my life at this point that I gotta know what's going on. So it's no hate. It's not us coming at Star Wars like oh what are you doing? But it's honesty. At this point, I haven't seen anything.
No, if anything, it's an abundance of love. You want it to be great because
exactly. And I mean, there's not much we love more than Star Wars. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see where the show goes, guys. I think it's got potential to be something that's really cool as pieces, if that makes sense. So like, there's gonna be cool bits that come out of this show, like cool fight scenes, cool, like Adam said, seeing the Slave One take down some enemies and cool CG that's going to be freaking awesome, So I feel like we're going to get cool moments out of the show, but are we going to feel like we have as much in our hands as we did once The Mandalorian was over? I don't know if that's going to be the case. But I guess we'll see. We got a long, 6 episodes? So we got like 4 more episodes left. No, we'll see.
I don't know, man. How many episodes is Boba Fett?
And then I saw some advertisement, and I guess that Andor show is coming soon too. 7 episodes. 7. Okay, that's not bad. So we got some episodes left. I will say this though, they got to pick it up. Like the next episode, they got like it needs to be like it's got to move. They got to move it because it's so slow. Last episode was so slow.
Come on.
So slow. But yeah, guys, this is Talking Sith. I appreciate you guys for coming again. Like I said, you can find us at Talking Sith. We'll have stuff to post now, which is awesome. But I'll be able to post stuff. So we'll be back on Instagram. Next week we'll be talking about, Book of Boba Fett, Star Wars stuff. May the Force be with everyone. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you coming and helping me out with this.
May the Force be with you.
Thanks, Adam. All right, guys. Have a good week. We'll see you soon.